even more beautifully, you know, and remove any suffering from this planet. To have that state of mind all the time would be lovely. So he's condensed the entire Buddhist canon into this thing called the 6 perfections. That if you practice just these 6, forget all the other instructions. All the other instructions are awesome, fantastic, necessary, a good foundation. But if you need to practice, because you don't have much time and you can't do everything, so if you want to do a practice these 6 perfections. If you develop these 6 states of mind well, you're getting enlightened. That's what he's saying. In his book, he quotes and he says, I quote and he says, the 84,000 dharmas that the Buddha spoke, if you churn the 84,000, if you churn, you get bodhicitta. You get the being who is a bodhisattva. The thing that the being who is a bodhisattva has, is wish. If you churn, all the dharma boils down to, or churns into, is just love, bodhicitta. It's lovely. So we're going to, at this point of the chapter, they talk about bodhisattvas in the Hinayana, and they talk about the 6 perfections. So we're going to touch just the first of the 6 perfections, which is generosity. Geshe Michael likes saying giving rather than generosity. I'll tell you why. Generosity has this connotation of, being generous, and it's usually to do with a transaction or something. Giving doesn't necessarily mean, they agree, doesn't necessarily mean just, they go, like, that's true, they're saying. Tell them more, please, they're saying. Okay. See, they're happy there. It's
acting, of course.
The interesting thing is that it's not just an acting course; it's a mute school, a mind school, right? Not mute. It's a mind school and mute. That's a different school. So anyway, it's a little weird. I love it.
It's a good show.
So. Giving, the idea of giving is you can give money, you can give food, you can give protection. It's just, and you can do it all the time. It's like, I don't know. So I like giving.
Giving seems like an act, where generosity seems like
a state of being. You can have both in your mind, so long as you know what we're talking about. You can call it either. It's good. So we're going to talk about the first of the 6 perfections as the choice to talk about making karmas powerful. That's what Master Vasubandhu is going to do now. He's going to go through the 6 perfections and talk about how to make them powerful. Really powerful. So then we're going to grab the first one, generosity. Figure out, remember I told you about the 3 spheres last class? So I'm going to talk that today. A little bit, not too much. I'm not giving a teaching on the 3 spheres, but what we'll do is we'll really break down the idea of what is in this act of giving, in this act of generosity. We'll use generosity as an example. It's not about generosity, okay? This class. It's about, if you look at a karma, out of all the karmas you could do, generosity or giving is a nice karma to play with. So let's look at that one, because that's a good virtue. And now, let's apply this 3 spheres concept and make a karma powerful. And the 3 spheres are, do you remember? The giver, in the example of giving, the giver, the act of giving, and the object of the receiver, the object of giving. So that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to look at, if you needed to make a karma most powerful, then it's important to see what kind of being, what state of mind, what qualities has that being developed. And you wouldn't necessarily think that would make a karma powerful. But if 2 beings, one with the qualities I'm about to go through and one without them, gave exactly the same thing to exactly the same person, the karma for the being with these high qualities would be infinitely stronger than the karma in this other being. So that's interesting. So this is where you need to develop some things to make sure that every natural action that you do, if you develop these things, it means every natural action you do has a heightened potency of karma potential. And if it's a good thing, then you're playing in the big stakes now. You're getting good, strong results. If it's a bad thing, that's true too. Yeah? So you're developing these strong qualities in you, you're developing a state of being, so then every action, in this example, giving, will be more powerful. And then the way in which you give, the method, that interaction is also in question here. What's the engagement between the giver and the receiver, the object and the subject? What's that interaction? We'll cover that. If it's got specific elements, it even makes it more powerful. So we'll look at that.
And also the non-attachment to it, right?
We'll look at
this state of mind, but also giving without expectation of result.
We'll get into that, into the details of that. But the next part is the third sphere, is the sphere what's over here, the receiver. Yeah? So observing at the kind of beings that you give to, or the things that you're offering to, or making interaction with, because it's not just about giving. Remember, you can apply this to every karma. So understanding them makes it even higher. Do you understand? You sure? 3 spheres. I'm going to give you something. Yeah? So if I've got certain qualities that are better than before, my karma is going to be infinitely stronger. It will be much stronger. I'll get a stronger result earlier. If I do it in a certain way to you, as opposed to just throwing you a sandwich, yeah, it's going to be infinitely stronger. And if I perceive you or experience you in a certain way, or I choose you because of certain things, then it's going to be even stronger. Yeah?
Yeah.
Obviously, any positive, any karma, any giving, any goodness is a virtue. And we'll cover giving first. Are we up for a class? Yeah? Any questions? Here we go.
Can I just quickly ask again about the giver? So it's how I perceive myself as a giver. And the higher I perceive myself, the better.
No, we're sort of profiling the kind of state of being that you are as you give. And here's my recommendation. Don't think of this list as I have to be concentrating on this logically as I'm doing the act of giving. That's sort of a mistake. These are qualities you should develop, and they're in you. And then if you are that, if you've developed these, then naturally, because you are this kind of being, when you give, the karma is stronger. Give you an example. If the Dalai Lama offered a child something, yeah, and I offered the child something, yeah, the same thing, might be a meal, yeah, and I had really, really good motivation, whatever, but I'm just me. The Dalai Lama is, a Dalai Lama, and his karma must be infinitely bigger than mine about that virtue, because of the kind of mental, we'll cover why, but because of the kind of being he is already. He's developed a high state of being. Because of those qualities, his karma is bigger.
What is that?
And results are big too.
Therefore the results are bigger. Yeah.
I was confused. I thought the 3 subjects involved or the 3 spheres were the subject always being you, the perceiver, and the object always being outside of you. So how would you relate to the Dalai Lama?
The Dalai Lama, his mind and my mind are both the subject.
Right.
Yeah.
You're perceiving him.
No, we're just comparing us.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah. We're both the beginning of a 3-sphere process. He's 1 sphere, us and I'm 1 sphere. We're both giving, that's the 2nd sphere. The child's receiving, that's the 3rd sphere. That's all.
So the subject is not always you.
It is. For him, he's one of the 3 spheres. For me, I'm one of the 3 spheres. Does that make sense?
He's paralleling 2.
Yeah, just paralleling 3 spheres going on at the same time. That's all. The 3 spheres in that interaction are the Dalai Lama, the giving, and the kid. That's the 3 spheres happening over there. For me, if I gave, the 3 spheres are me, the giving, and the kid.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not like a huge concept. Yeah. It's But it's lovely because if you perfect those three things, there's nothing outside of them. You, the way you engage with your world, and your world.
Yeah, because it's about our own emptiness as a giver, and so therefore we perceive because of our own karma, we perceive ourselves a certain way.
Yeah.
So, it's not an outside measuring tape, obviously. It's
Never is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's within our own minds.
Yeah, it's within your own minds. Yeah, and therefore, so what my paralleling example is, the mind of His Holiness, perceiving himself doing an act, must be experiencing a completely perfect tantric view as he's doing this nominal thing. I can't maintain that view all the time. Yeah, so he's collecting infinite karmas, and we'll cover them, and then you'll get them, I'm sure of it. Ready? Here we go. Say Jimpa. Is that up there? It's not Jimpa. J-I-N-P-A. Jimpa. What's Jimpa mean? I'll give you a hint. It's one of 6 things. Yay! Thank you. Generosity you're giving. So the first thing I want to cover is 4 ways that you divide giving at the Abhidharma. Did we do that? 3, 4. Yeah. So Dak Ki Dun Chir. So say Dak Ki Dun Chir. So Dak means me. Ki Dun Chir means of, for benefit. Of, for benefit. So the first type of giving, so the only thing we're going to cover for now is the 4 ways of giving. Yeah? One way of the many divisions of giving, but this gives you just some thinking about one of the first of the 6 perfections. So what do you think that would mean? Me, of, for benefit.
For your own benefit.
For your own benefit. Excellent. So this type of giving results in benefit to the giver. Yeah? Does that make sense? So this explanation of giving is giving that will only result to the giver. Give a nice samsaric result usually. Now all goodnesses, all virtues have 2 modes, 2 results, remember? All virtues must give you a pleasure, and they must lead you to nirvana. They were the two facts about a virtue. That's it. So this will still at some point later on lead you to nirvana, but it will give you a pleasant result. Yeah? So this type of giving, giving for your own benefit, is the kind of giving that you would give to inanimate objects. So making offerings to a temple. Yeah? Doing offerings to your altar. Assuming there are non-Buddhas around, yeah, you are seeing yourself doing some kind of offering. If you do the bowl offering in the morning, this is this kind of offering. Yeah, why? Because there's no sentient being out there that's going to benefit, from this giving. So this obviously you're the only one collecting karma. You want some good, positive, samsaric result. Yeah, and they say there's 2 types of beings. So the result is only you get the result as the giver. Yeah, and it's a nice little samsaric result, or it could be a nice big samsaric result. So this is one type of giving. They say that there's 2 types of people who do this. One is those beings who are not yet free from the desire realm. Yeah, which must be us if we're here, if you are who you seem to be. And those on the worldly path. Do you remember that? That was in this class, in this course. There's 2 ways to get out of the desire realm. Just don't worry about remembering a list. If you had to tell me, if Dharma stopped today, nobody ever taught you another thing, and it was all up to you to teach the rest of the world, and someone said, I heard that there was 2 ways to get out of the desire realm. There's only 2 ways to get out of here. What's one way? What's one way to get out of samsara? This is the desire realm. Yeah? Renunciation. Renunciation leads to?
Bodhicitta, to correct you.
So one way, the only way, come on, what's the only way you can break this cycle?
Cessation of.
Go on, say it.
I know I was going to say renunciation.
No.
Enlightenment.
How do you get to enlightenment?
Wisdom or meditation?
Emptiness.
Seeing emptiness directly is the only way, guaranteed.
That's
that
always
you,
the default answer. I know
that you should know that. I was simply going, oops. No, thank you.
So indirect. about
So, but that's one way, right? There's two ways to get out of the desire realm. One is you see emptiness directly, and then because you see it, you no longer have doubt about this world functioning in a certain way. You know things are not self-existent. You know that interacting with them the same old way that you used to will just cause more samsara, more breaking down of the things that seem to work, they don't work. Seem to work, they don't work. The only way to break that is if you see ultimate nature of things and then start working at the ultimate nature. You go from seeing emptiness directly, which is the path of seeing, to then habituating your psyche and your every experience to remove the false appearance that is the world functions in this way. If I take from you, I'm going to get. That doesn't work. Yeah? The only way you get abundance is if you give. Because you must then perceive the opposite, because karma and emptiness work like that. So that's one of the two ways to get out of samsara. Sorry, side thing. The only way that is guaranteed. Yeah? And then that was the, what was it called? The path beyond this world. That was the path beyond this world. And then there was the worldly path to get out of samsara. Which was that? Okay, I'll tell you. The second way to get out of samsara was to go into deeper and deeper, more subtle states of meditation until you move to the form realm, yeah, where you can hopefully see emptiness directly, and you actually begin, as you move up the levels or the deeper levels of experience, you'll spend more time meditating, you'll have less taste for the things of this world. You end up being a being who, you know, will end up being in retreat all the time. You can live on a grain of rice. It's this kind of being that carries the worldly path to get out of samsara, of this cycle. They withdraw and withdraw, they go into most beautiful subtle states, yeah? And there's a chance, whether or not they'll see emptiness directly or not, if they study or not, I don't know. But the worldly path takes a long time, because if you take the metaphor of the worldly path as going into retreat for a month, or a week, or 10 days, or something, and then you get some kind of peace, and then you come back very quickly, you're sucked into this world, this desire world. The worldly path is like that. The only way to get out for sure is to see emptiness directly. Yeah? So anyway, digression.
Wait, so the worldly path just leads to seeing emptiness directly? And
yeah, but you could get sucked into, if you're not vigilant, if you don't know what's happening, you can go beyond the first level of the form realm, which is the stepping off point where you see emptiness directly, begin to have some kind, replace your desire that you get in the desire realm for desire to be away from the desire realm, desire to be in your formless experience. You know, you can replace your shitty desire for a different kind of shitty desire that is much softer and subtler and whatever, and you can get lost in that. It's a fine line. So that's why it's called the worldly path. Takes eons, takes a long time. Yeah? One of the byproducts of beings that do that a lot is you end up being in the form of formless realm. Because you build up so many good, it's not so much that you build up so many good karmas actually, it's more that you haven't done so many shitty karmas because you've spent lots of time habituating the beauty and the bliss of being in a subtle state. So you must produce the experience in your next birth of being in that subtle state. Yeah?
Well, you don't get the karma of helping other people.
Well, also, yeah. You've got to build up the storehouse of merit as well as the storehouse of wisdom. You could if you're meditating on the right thing. I mean, I'm not saying don't meditate. I'm saying be vigilant. There's the worldly path and there's the path beyond this world. Yeah, I want to get to, we're up to the 4 ideas of giving, so you get some flavor before we go into the 3 spheres. So we'll do it.
Sorry, so the 2 types of people, But do the for your own benefit, generosity is
So-
one in desire realm, and then
Those who aren't free from desire realm, so you and us who are like, I'm going to I'm going to give to a monk, to a statue of Buddha, or I'm going to go and give to a building, or go circumambulate a stupa, or go clean the temple, or these kind of things, or do my water bowls nicely, which are all good karmas. You will get good benefits, yeah, but it'll be just for you, and hopefully you can ride that benefit to get more and more. So the next one is the second type of person is people in deep meditation that have lost desire for the desire realm. Those people that are on the worldly path. They do those kind of mental offerings and so on. Okay? Obviously you'll get some kind of samsaric result which has a time lapse. The second type of giving described in the Abhidharma are Shendun Chir. Shendun Chir. Say Shen? Dun Chir. So Shen means other and for benefit. So what do you think that means? For the benefit of others. So I'll give you a quick summation of this one. This typically is an Arya, a being who has seen selflessness, because we're in the Abhidharma Kosha. And the giving is only to help the other person. So the benefit is really only for the other person. It might be some food. It's towards a being who has not seen emptiness directly. It might be some food, some kindness, some knowledge, something. Yeah, and the benefit will be fully for that other being. There's no attachment on the giver for me. Obviously they'll experience a good result. Yeah? But the emphasis here is that who benefits out of this interaction? The receiver. Why? And in our question, why would he talk about it that way? The receiver obviously benefits. Let's say the giving is food or knowledge. Yeah? Let's say it's knowledge from a person who's seen ultimate reality. Obviously the receiver has a deep, expansive result out of that kind of instruction.
Even if it's an Arya, isn't that benefiting good karma coming to the Arya?
I know. The emphasis here is he's not looking for a benefit. How is that? Yeah? So he doesn't need to tell you how to see emptiness directly. I mean, you can argue he does if you want to debate the Abhidharma. He could get on a path of habituation without telling you. So the receiver is of highest benefit here. Let's say highest benefit. Is that good?
Yeah.
Number 3, Nikkei Dunchir. Say Nikkei Dunchir. It's a nice blessing to say the words. Because this language is fast disappearing. So just to say it is lovely. So that means both for benefit. So this is benefit for both self and the giver. And the giving, yeah. And the receiving. So both are getting a nice result on the desire. So that's a different kind of giving. So there's like a mutual interest to get goodness. This is okay. So those 3 types of giving are giving to help. Yeah, those 3. Then the 4th one, say Nikkei Minchir. This is both no benefit. Yeah, both no benefit. And this is high beings, Aryas, Arhats, Buddhas, making beautiful offerings to each other. Yeah, this is what I like about this is we can practice this to have that karma to perceive yourself as a Buddha giving to another Buddha. We can practice that here right now, right? By seeing the good qualities in each other. And this is the kind of giving that is for honoring. The first 3 were for helping. That's a basic division of giving is you give for help or you give to honor. Yeah? And this is honoring because you see the value in the other creature in front of you. You see how magnificent they are on the planet. Neither wants a benefit. Buddhas don't need another Buddha's approval. If you're an enlightened being, you don't need another enlightened being to say, you're so great, because I don't know. So it's just a lovely, humble honoring of each other. So they're the 4 types of giving. So let's go back to now that you get some flavor for giving. Yeah, so Is that okay? We've got a little depth about giving. Imagine there's a storehouse of knowledge in the Abhidhamma Kosha, and particularly in the Bodhisattva Charavatara by Master Shantideva on the 6 perfections. This is just one tiny division of the first perfection. Like just thinking about giving in those terms is lovely, because your mind stayed on giving for all that time. So I encourage you to, if you have the mind to, investigate and look at how to think about all the other perfections as well as this one. So if we got karma, we now know how things work. Let's look at the 3 spheres, and I'll give you 3 lists now to look at the 3 modes of being. Do you want to take a break, or do you want me to start at least list 1? Let's start this one. Okay. So the first is the list of the giver. I look at the kind of qualities from the Abhidhamma Kosha that would make an act of giving extra charged if you possess these qualities, if you had these things. Yeah? And these things are called, are they there? Yeah. Pakpe, say Pakpe. Nordun. Pakpe Nordun. So Pakpe is Arya. So an Arya is a being who has seen emptiness. Okay. Nord means riches, and Dun means number 7. So these are the 7 riches of the Aryas. Yeah. So these are called the 7 riches of the Aryas because Aryas possess these 7 qualities. And when you give with these 7 qualities, the results of giving are bigger. If you do any action with these 7 qualities, the results are bigger. So now we're talking about you as the giver. Let's get on with it. Say Depa. Depa is faith. So this is a hard translation into English, especially if you come from a Catholic or I don't know, at least the upbringing that I understand to be in the West. What do you think of when I say faith?
Believing without understanding.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's a pain in the ass because I have the same karma to see faith as that. I've been chipping away at it slowly. So let me give you a little bit of a Tibetan definition, because Buddhism is all about the opposite. It's about, no, you have to have logical understanding. You can't believe something unless you get some intellectual, logical explanation and test it, and then you have insight. Yeah, you can't just believe the next person that arrives, because if you do, then you must, by logic, believe the one that comes after them and the one that comes after them just because. So faith here is a kind of admiration based on knowledge. So you're concentrating on the good qualities of another person, let's say. So let's say I don't know, let's look at His Holiness the Dalai Lama, okay, and build some kind of faith, and you look at the good qualities of him. So he's kind, he's insightful, he always says the right thing. Or bring the best person that you can have in your mind, that you have some kind of admiration for their high qualities. They're such a good creature on this planet. They're such an oddity on this planet. And you have some kind of admiration and aspiration to be like him, because you have some understanding of who they are. That's the kind of faith we're talking here. Okay, which to me is nice. So if you I'll give you a quick read. Concentrate on the good qualities and want to become like that yourself. Understanding the good qualities of holy beings or goodnesses in general. So not just holy beings, or the acts of goodness in general, having some understanding through knowledge why they are good. Yeah, understanding those qualities, admiring them, feeling joy, happiness, that kind of thing. Wishing you could have them or be like them. That's faith. If you have this kind of thing, so if you've understood enough emptiness, if you understood enough karma, and you know the benefits in the world from loving or having joy or just being kind, having faith that is a good thing. That's a good way to think about Depa. So developing this towards all beings is obviously if you can build that in your DNA, you don't have to consciously think about it as you're giving. You see what I mean? You don't have to bring it up to mind. So, but you got to develop it. So the next one is Sultrim. Say Sultrim. This is just simple morality. Yeah, doing unto others, avoiding the 10 misdeeds, or doing the opposite. So if you've built a mind that you can see how this works. If you are the kind of being who has developed a kind of moral code that is based in knowledge and understanding, kindness, and you're only ever doing things in your world that you would love to have done to you, yeah? This kind of giving is extra charged because you bring these layers with you see? He's like, yes, I agree. So let's move on to the next one. Say Tongwei. Tongwei. This is more the feeling of generosity. It's not the first perfection. It's weird to talk about it in context of giving, but this is if you're a generous person. This means if you're not stingy. He's like, yeah, that's right. And
that'll be what happens to you.
yeah, he's happy. I'm experiencing his joy. This is, look, well, the first time I got this, let me share with you a little. Let's think about a state of being generous. Yeah? You have with you drag around, if you're moving, we're moving soon, you're going to drag around all your stuff, yeah, all your physical stuff. And then inside of you, you have an infinite storehouse of goodnesses, a whole bunch of internal stuff. If you're generous, if you're really generous, and you walk outside and you see the state of this world, and you see just the people around you, the people at work, simple, people at home, family, friends, and they want stuff, they always want, they want to consume stuff, yeah? This would make them internally happy. This is not having this stinginess that you give them your leftovers. This is where you give them what's most precious to you. And you do it with wisdom, and you do it with a lack of attachment. You do it with passion, and you do it because if you love this thing that you have, if you love it, don't you want them to love it? So you, out of all the stuff you have, find the stuff you love the most, give it away. There's power in that. Don't do it stupidly. Okay, don't do it before you're ready. Do it when you want to practice karma. If you want to have a supercharged karma, find the most precious thing you've got and then give it away, but finish hearing the 3-sphere thing first.
But if something that you want to offer them or share with them is a little bit too much for them,
correct.
Is that also a sort of stinginess, or just like I really wouldn't? Yeah, just
look, the best way to practice is if you practice a generous heart. Okay, the best way to do this, and in fact the best way to do all practice, but in giving or having that thing.
Does that have to be money? Nothing.
No, it could. No, it could be. Yeah, it could be something. Yeah. The idea is. So think about the talk. You want to get them an insight. Yeah, you want to give them something you think they're missing. You desperately, and you have this information here. Okay, get it to them without them knowing it's you. Nobody needs to know. In fact, make sure nobody ever finds out it was you. Yeah, even if it's money, even if it's a thing, make sure that thing lands in the consciousness of that person, and we'll get to it when we talk about the receiver and the act of receiving. When they most need it, without ever knowing where it came from. It just magically, and when you do that, there's a power inside of you, there's a freedom to walk this planet in a specific way that is magnificent. Yeah, but you also can't do it and then regret it. So this is why I'm saying you got to do it when you're sure, when you're ready. But usually there's this little battle, am I ready, I'm not ready, and if you're doing that battle, you're close. And then when you're there, just go. And you don't have to do it all the time. It'll build on itself. It's a beautiful state of being to have. You know what? At the end of the day, you'll lose it all anyway. Even the realizations you have now. Yeah, or the cognitive understanding of them, unless you've seen emptiness directly, the flavor of them will roll into your next life. Absolutely, the karmas will come. But your best understanding about painting or engineering or whatever, language, bye-bye. All of it. So this is a lovely one. So that was number 3. Number 4 is, say tupa. Tupa. This is learning. This means learning. What do you think that refers to? A person who has this, their power of their karmas are stronger. What would learning refer to?
Is that the wisdom part of it?
It's learning Dharma, right? It's learning Dharma, not as in you must learn Buddhist Dharma. It's about learning, understanding how these things function. So this for us translates into classroom hours, understanding karma, understanding renunciation, understanding emptiness, questioning, putting your mind, pressure on your mind to break the false appearance of things and trying to intellectually understand them so you can practice them. Practice gives you a visceral experience. Learning gives you an intellectual understanding that you can then apply to a visceral experience. Yeah? That's what leads to that. So, Tupa just means sitting down and learning the mechanisms of how things work. And this is a difficult thing, because if you really understood the nature of things, you would be sitting there totally knowing. So I imagine holy teachers that have perfect view, giving an understanding completely the emptiness of me as the giver, the emptiness of the act of giving, the emptiness of the receiver, and the causal factors that produce the karma and understanding the emptiness of the mechanism of karma. Like, this is ultimately, you'll have a state of mind that has this as a nature and as a natural thing in you anyway. That karma that understands how this thing functions, how the cogs work, is a karma, but it's based on learning. It's based on understanding. Yeah, that makes it more powerful. Why? Because you see how the machine works. Yeah, it's like you see the machine pulling out sausages because it's got 26 cogs that move, and if you turn this one, that one turns. If you turn the other, and you're trying to move this one, but you don't know that one's stuck because you don't have visibility. You don't know that side. Understanding just explains the machine to you. Then you know how to fix the parts of the machine that are producing your sausage. Do I have time to depress you? Depress you a second. Just as an aside on the learning one, when Jetson Kappa, the superhero of Gelugpa tradition with a yellow pointed hat, he sat with his teacher Umapa, and Umapa had clairvoyance Manjushri. Jetson Kappa was trying to see Manjushri for the longest time, and Umapa could see Manjushri, and they were sitting at a table, and Manjushri had come to the table. So there was Jetson Kappa, Umapa, and Manjushri. Jetson Kappa couldn't see Manjushri, only Umapa could, because he was one of Jetson Kappa's great teachers. Yeah. So Jetson Kappa was. This is in Jetson Kappa's biography. Jetson Kappa was asking Umapa, do you think if you see him, can you ask him if my understanding of emptiness is good? He was about 30 at the time. He'd already written his treatise, and he asks, is his understanding of selflessness good? And Manjushri goes, no. He was asking me if my view is closer to the Prasangika or like to the two. He goes, neither. So you just, no matter how much we have some understanding of how things function. Yeah. Keep trying. What I'm trying to say. There's always room for improvement. He was 30 at the time. He's already a master understanding selflessness and all these things, and he's like, you're not even close. Yeah. So, but with your understanding so far, with our understanding so far, if you are practicing, you should be getting some lovely results about how you see your world. And if you are, then you have a good enough foundation to build a reality that's lovely. Let's go to number 5. which is easy. So Nosa Shepa, say Nosa Shepa. Okay, this is not to do bad deeds for reasons relating to yourself. This should sound familiar to you, yeah? So not doing bad deeds for reasons relating to yourself. What this means is you have some kind of shame for doing non-virtue. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. So even if nobody's watching, you would still not do that thing because you know it would cause harm to others. Yeah. So you have this kind of purity inside of you that stops you from doing a non-virtue for reasons pertaining to yourself. You're like sort of self-embarrassed. So what do you think the number 6 is? Trolyu. It relates to that one. Yes.
For others. Not doing bad deeds for...
Yeah, for how it appears to others, for, not for reasons pertaining to other people. So avoiding doing bad deeds for reasons pertaining to others or what others think.
What does it have to do with giving? Oh, that's you as the giver.
That's you as the giver. So if you have these qualities, yes, see how it's sort of mixed up. I'm using giving as an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but so obviously generosity is one of the qualities you should have. But this is very special for monks, for example, and it's about making pure deeds. It's like making sure the appearance of what you do doesn't harm anyone else. Yeah, you have a shame of behaving in a certain way because it might force a person to lose hope in understanding the world or something like that. So they're the 7 that, if you have these qualities in you, 6 are, well, let's see what you think 7 is. What is it? Shara. What does that mean? Wisdom, correct. Thank you. So obviously, if you have Shara, which means understanding the selflessness of things, the lack of inherent existence, whether it's intellectual, small scope, medium scope, high scope, whether it's direct, any of that will help. So having that inside you and giving obviously empowers the karma because you begin to understand the relationship between selflessness and karma. Yeah?
So these are the 7 qualities of the giver.
Of the giver, correct. If the giver has these qualities in them.
I'm thinking of the giver as the first perfection, but it's just the opposite.
No. The one giving.
The one giving.
Yeah. So this is, so if you want to look at it for not the first of the perfections, what's the second perfection?
Morality.
Let's do another one. Let's do 4th. What's the 4th perfection? Joyful effort. Let's do that one, right? So if you are a person that has joy when you do something, when you do an action, when you do a karma, and you have these 7 qualities in you, you are kind, you are generous, you have wisdom, you do things for the sake of yourself to keep pure, you do things for the sake of keeping others pure, yeah? Then your karma would be much more powerful. That's what the giver means. You could be the joyer, you could be the morola. It's the first sphere, yeah? Got it? Good. Take a break. Can we have a 5-minute break? I don't mind if you bring food and drink in here and then, yeah? So take a 5-minute break, have a pee, do whatever you need to do, and then I'll see you.